Hello beautifuls, welcome to Julionando's Take again. If you're new here, umekaribisha sana. For return subscribers, thank you so much for tuning in again. Back to my nursing journey. If you watched the first video where I posted about how I got into the job market in Germany, if you haven't watched that, please go back and watch that first, then come to this one. I'll put that in the description box down there. When I got the chance to do nursing in Germany, I was so excited about it, but at the same time I was kind of scared and kind of skeptical, kind of doubting myself, because just like in any other thing you do in life, there are people who will really support you and there are people who will try to discourage you. And as much as I believed in myself and I believed even if it wasn't going to be easy, I would get through, of course there were these doubts that were in my head coming from the people who were telling me, oh Julie, you're not going to do that, maybe you should just do an assistant nurse, or maybe you should do this. There was a program where people could do 3 months and do assistance nursing or something like that. I really don't understand it well. Maybe I should research on that so that I can put it out there for someone who'd be interested to do that. I was kind of skeptical about myself, but I thank God I pulled through. Now this video is not to discourage somebody who's planning on doing nursing or to scare somebody who's planning on doing nursing. On the contrary, I'm putting this video there just so I can prepare you for what to expect if you're going to do nursing, especially in Germany, and just to let you know, if I made it, you can make it. You know the reason why you're studying nursing in the first place, so don't let anybody or anything discourage you. Anytime you're feeling down or feeling like giving up, remember again the reason why you started doing nursing, and don't give up.
We touch, we break, make it seem like we feel the same. We love what we hate.
Like anybody would guess, the #1 challenge that I faced when I started studying in Germany was the language. Everything in Germany is done in German, so you really have to beherrsch. I'll put here the meaning of the word beherrsch, because we are supposed to be learning Germany. Yeah, you really have to some level understand the German language, because if you don't, you're really going to be lost. Because there are some of my colleagues who unfortunately, like Ausländer, there are some Ausländer who unfortunately had to drop out because they could just understand null about it all. So everything is in Germany, and one of the things that was so frustrating to me was the level of my understanding Germany does not determine the level of my intelligence. People tend to mistake the two. Just because I don't understand your language doesn't mean my level of intelligence is that low. And most of the time people expect you to fail just because you don't understand this language as well as they do. And actually when you end up passing the exams, they are kind of surprised that you passed the exams. And that can be really discouraging at times. What I did in my case, because of course I couldn't understand most of the time in school, and I actually did this with every lecturer that was coming to a class. I didn't care what people think about it. I was like, I'm doing this for me, I have to do what works for me. Every lecturer who came to class, the first thing I did was, please don't mind when I'm looking at my phone. It's not like I'm playing on my phone. I have to record what you're saying, or I have to translate some of the things you're saying, because I don't understand everything. And that's what I did with every of my lectures. Sometimes I would just record the whole lecture because I'm like, I'm not understanding anything. I would record the whole lecture, then go back home, listen to the words, because I couldn't even write the words properly. So I would listen to the words, write them exactly like they're pronounced. Then from there I would go and translate what that means, then go and listen to the whole script again to understand exactly what the topic was about. I mean, it was really a challenge. And like I said, if you know the reason why you're doing what you're doing, you do everything you have to do just to stick with it. And Another thing that worked perfectly for me, and this I tell anybody who is an Auslander who is doing any course, whatever course you're doing, YouTube is your best teacher. I mean, YouTube is not just for entertainment. There's so many things people learn in YouTube. YouTube was my teacher, especially when it comes to anatomy. Sometimes we used to have anatomy classes. I would be like, okay, what's the topic you're going to do tomorrow? I hear the topic you're going to do. Instead of going there and sitting for 8 hours and understanding nothing, I would actually sit at home, go to YouTube 2-3 hours and understand what it's about, and I'm good to go. I mean, YouTube was my best teacher. So language will be really a challenge, but don't give up just because of language. I mean, that's just a small part of it. Once you get the grips of it, you'll be good to go. I mean, it will still be a challenge, but with time you learn to understand the way the teachers talk, the way your fellow students talk. You get used to it, and with time it will get easier. Trust me, it will get easier. I'm not saying it's easy, but it will get easier. Don't give up just because of the language. Trust me, the first month I was there, it was torture, but I got through it. I did it. You can do it, right? The second challenge for me, this is also connected with the language problem, was doing presentations. Oh my god, I used to have diarrhea, I used to have headache, I used to have indigestion every time I know we have to do a presentation. I hated doing presentations, because this meant I have to talk in front of, I mean, if I'm talking sitting on my desk, that's okay. I can cringe my legs, I can cringe my arms and feel kind of geschützt, yeah. But talking in front of people, there was no way I was going to talk in front of people and holding myself or looking like almost having a heart infarct. And yeah, it was really tough. I hated doing presentations because everything, like I said, is done in Germany. So you can imagine, if you can't speak the language well and you have to do a presentation, just how crappy that is. But somehow I got through it. And just like I got through it, you can also get through it. It won't be easy, but it is doable. I mean, with time, the people, your colleagues, your teachers, they also get used to you. You might have you might be disadvantaged and have colleagues and teachers who are just crappy, but in my case, I thank God. Let me tell you one thing. After you do your first cut and the people see your grades, actually, not to brag, but the lowest grade I ever got was a 2. What is a 2 now? In German, the grades are they're graded from 1 being the best, and I think 6 being the worst, yeah. And my grades were either 1 or 2. So my worst grade was 2, and that was, surprisingly enough, in the, what was this thing called, this social whatever, it's irrelevant at the moment. But once they see your first grade, they will start having some level of respect to you and stop thinking you're just dumb. So back to what I was talking about. Yeah, your colleagues might be empathetic or get to be more friendly with you and understand. It's not that you don't know what you're talking about, it's just that maybe you don't know how to speak out your thoughts. You know what I mean? Yeah. So presentations won't be easy. They were never easy. Even up to the last day, I hated doing presentations, but I go through that, and you will get through it. If you're planning on doing nursing, be prepared to do that. If you're already in doing nursing and you're going through that, hold tight. We did it. You'll do it too. The other thing that I also used to hate, still hate, is group work. I mean, and group work, the reason why I hated doing that, and the reason why I kind of still hate doing that, because if you're doing something as a group, your level of understanding is different. Yeah, I'm not just talking about your level of intelligence, I'm also talking about the level of understanding the language. So you might be talking about this topic, and because you're struggling with your language, before you can understand the topic and before you can present your idea the way you want to present it to the group, the rest of the guys in the group have understood everything already, and you have no idea what guys are talking about. That was really, really a struggle for me. I used to hate that until it reached a point where whenever we had groups, I would volunteer to go and be with my fellow Auslander, because we all have the same level of German, so we all need the same level of time to understand and present our project out there. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, group work, I hated group work. And another thing you'll notice, when you get these group works, at first you'll realize that the Germans will group themselves together. I don't know if this has to do with them thinking you don't have an idea, or them assuming, like I said in my first point, because you don't understand the language, your level of that is also that low. I have no idea, but you'll find at first, honestly, they get themselves in their own groups, and then with time, when they realize, they try putting you in their group when they come to realize you're just as good as they are. So don't take that personal, just do your thing. Do your thing, the right people will come your way. But I hated group work. I really, really used to hate group work, because sometimes I understand the concept, I'm 100% sure I understand the concept, but I can't put my idea out there as fast as someone else can put the idea out there. Then they just imagine you have no idea, and it just to make me feel crappy. But I had to go through it. I did it. I got through it, and life goes on. So if you're doing the course, you will definitely have to do group works. That one is coming your way, but you'll get through it just like I did. Another thing actually to do with age difference, it doesn't have to do with age difference, because after doing my nursing, I've done other Weiterbildungs. What is Weiterbildung? I'll write what Weiterbildung here is. And that is something I've noticed in most of the classes I've been in, not just during the Ausbildung, but also in the Weiterbildungs. They tend to go so much off topic. You'll be talking about diabetes. Let me, just a simple example. You'll be talking about diabetes. Then someone says, yeah, my grandmother used to like eating a lot of sugary things, and then they end up talking about the recipes about these sugary things. Then they end up talking about when they went to Ulob somewhere, and you're thinking, God, guys, you're distracting my line of thoughts. There is so much going off topic. You need a lot of patience. You need a lot of patience if you're someone like me. You really need a lot of patience to be able to sit in this class until the end. Because sometimes I used to feel like, God, Julie, you're wasting your time here. Just stand up, go home and study at home. Because you're like, half of the lesson, we had, like, assuming we had 40 minutes to study something, we've studied for 10 minutes, and the rest of it, they were talking about things that have nothing, absolutely nothing to do with the topic for the day. That used to be really frustrating to me. Number 5 would be when you used to have topics about the social system, or like about rest law, yeah, or such topics that have to do with day-to-day life, yeah. It used to be so frustrating to me, because to them, these things that they're talking about, or most of the things that they will talk about in these topics, are things that they have seen since they were born. I mean, when they're talking about social systems, zum Beispiel, things that would, the social amenities that families can have when you're a patient or something like that. These are things that they've seen their whole life. Their grandmother was sick, or they have a sick relative somewhere, so they know you have to go to this office to get this help, you have to go to this office to get this help, you have the rights to have this help and that help and the other help. So for most of them, this was like common knowledge. For me, that wasn't common knowledge. Now the problem is, most of the time when you're in class and they're talking about such things, the teacher would not elaborate more on these social amenities or stuff like that, because they assume there is common knowledge for everybody. So that used to be really frustrating, because sometimes in class there is a topic or they're discussing something and everybody seems to know what they're talking about. Everybody seems to know the nitty-gritties of this topic and you have absolutely no idea. Then you have this feeling like I'm holding the whole class behind because I have no idea what you guys are talking about. And that could be really frustrating. Actually, I don't think this is just about nursing. I think it's about any other course that you do in Germany, because there are some rules and some laws and some things in the social system that are just common in German, and they're common knowledge to any German. But me being a foreigner, or us being foreigners, they're not common knowledge to us, and the teachers or the lecturers tend to assume that we know everything, which is actually kind of disadvantage to uns. Sorry, disadvantage to us, because I wasn't brought up in Germany, so don't expect me to know all the nitty-gritties about the social system in Germany. That used to be a challenge. It is a challenge because it's something that happens in day-to-day life, but that's something you just have to get through. You just have to get through. It's part of life. It's part of being in a foreign country. You learn every day. Be open to learning new things and you'll get through it. Number 6. This is something that frustrates every single student, whether you're a German or whether you're a foreigner or whether you are from Moon. What you learn in school and the reality in practice, those are two very different things. Because in school you're learning nursing in the ideal circumstances. In practice, like you've seen, I'm sure if you're watching nursing videos, or if you know anything about nursing, or if you've heard anything about nursing, there is nursing shortage almost everywhere in the world. So you don't have this ample time to do everything that you learn in theory to apply it in practice. So just keep it in mind that whatever it is you're learning in school, keep that at the back of your mind. I used to say I keep that at the back of my mind for my exams, because you definitely need that for your exams. But when you're going to practice, you just have to get creative and find ways of either talk to your colleagues and say, you know, I have this patient here, and today I want to practice what I learned in school on this patient. Give me my ample time. Just don't bother me with this patient so that I can work on this patient the way I learned theory in school. Otherwise, you'll really never get time to apply whatever you learned in school exactly the way you learned in school in practice. Those are two different worlds. I mean, you'll get really frustrated. You will get frustrated because on one side in school you're taught to do this, on the other side you go to your practice and what you're doing is completely different from what you did in school. And then it reaches this time where you're supposed to do exams, and because you've gotten used to doing the shortcut way because you have to do it fast, you just find yourself you are lost, just like I'm lost for words right now. So make it a habit of, at least in every shift that you're working, Dienst, shift, which one is English, which one is Dutch, I don't know, shift or Dienst, I think that, whatever. Make it a point, anytime you're working, make it a point to practice something you learned in theory in your practice, so that you at least get used to do this, if not for anything, for your exams. Now, this is not a challenge I had in school. This is a tip of how I did it and how I managed to get through my nursing school and be one of the top students in my class, which I'm proud of. I earned it. Is I used to say every single day, irrespective of what I'm doing, irrespective of what I have, whether I was going to work or whether I had free on that day, every single damn day I would take at least 2 hours to learn. The reason for this is the language. While a German will take a book and read it, as a book can read the sentence in 1 minute, understand what it's talking about, I would need to read the sentence, then translate the first word, the second, the third, the fourth word, then try and understand what that means, then understand the whole idea. You get what I'm saying? Being that we have this language challenge, You have to set time aside to learn. Just because your German friends are learning in 1 hour and disappearing doesn't mean you have to compete with that and learn 1 hour and disappear. There's a reason why you started studying. So do it for you. Don't do it for this person who is watching you. Don't mind that you are sitting in an exam room, you are doing a test, and you notice in 30 minutes everyone is walking out of the room and you're still writing the test, yet you have still 2 hours, but you feel I have to get out because everyone is getting out. Do it for you and you will make it. Don't give up. Remember why you started doing nursing in the first place and believe in yourself, okay? Until next time, have a blessed day. I'll see you in my next